Here's what I want to start off by talking to you about. And I want you to think about this. Is there something that you've been meaning to start? I mean, something that you've been wanting to do. And for one reason or another, you've convinced yourself that maybe you're just not ready yet. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, maybe you should just get a little more experience before you go ahead and make the decision to go ahead and make this career change. Or maybe you're saying, maybe I need a little more resources, or I need to have a little more information before I decide to go ahead and start this business. Or there's something that you've been thinking about doing, something that you've been thinking about starting, and you have convinced yourself that this is not yet the right time. Maybe you're saying, you know what, maybe I've got to wait another year. Maybe I got to wait for the kids to get a little older. Maybe I've got to wait to get a little more money in my bank account. Maybe I've got to wait to be able to get past, some past failures and disappointments and recover from those losses. There's a lot of reasons that we come up with as to why we shouldn't start on our goals and our dreams, as to why we shouldn't begin to make some things happen. And so I want to share something with you that if you are willing to listen to me here, trust me on this, that's going to allow you to literally create a shift and a change in your life. And I want you to write this down. I want you to start before you're ready. Write that down. Start before you're ready. You're saying, Andy, wait a second, that sounds insane. You want me to start before I'm ready? Listen, but you don't understand. I'm getting ready right now. Listen, man, I've been reading the books and listening to the CDs, and I've been listening and watching videos on YouTube. I'm trying to prepare myself for this transition. No, Andy, you don't understand. I'm getting ready for this business, but you don't understand. I'm trying to do a little more research. I'm trying to complete my business plan. I'm trying to make sure that I have enough money saved up. I'm trying to get the right people on my team, and so I'm not ready to start yet. Or Andy, listen, man, I'm thinking about making this transition in my life, but every time I think about making a transition, I just feel as if I'm just not prepared. And so here's what I need you to understand. You're never going to feel like you're prepared. You're always going to believe that there's still something else that you need to learn, that there's still something else that you need to acquire, that you still need to have some more money in your bank account, that you still have to have the right people on your team. And so what happens to most people, they never get started. They never move forward on their goals and dreams. They never make the decision to make the transition from their current career. They never launch the business. They never write the book. They never actually do this thing that they know that they've been wanting to do because they keep convincing themselves that they got to get ready. And here's what I'm saying to you. I want you to start before you're ready. That's right. And I know that sounds unorthodox, but that's what I want you to do, because here's what I know. If you're willing to start, all of a sudden, listen to me, things will begin to work out. Once you're willing to start, you'll begin to discover some things about yourself that you just didn't know. As a matter of fact, Price Pritchett said this. He said, you got to make your move before you're ready. He said, make your move before you're ready. Why? Because he says that oftentimes when we say that we're trying to get ready, it's really just a stall tactic. He says when we're saying that we're really trying to get ready, what it really is we're just having a little anxiety, and we're just trying to keep ourselves being comfortable, and we don't want to push ourselves outside of our comfort zone. And so in order to avoid all of that, as you all have maybe heard Les Brown say, you've got to leap and grow your wings on the way down. You've got to be willing to start before you're ready. And so I want you to think about that area in your life that you've been thinking about starting. I mean, you know what it is. You've been thinking about starting this new career. You've been thinking about starting the business. You've been thinking about starting this new journey. You've been thinking about using your gifts, your skills, and your talents to do something amazing. But every time you think about getting started, you start thinking about all the reasons why you shouldn't start. You start thinking about all the reasons and all the things that you don't have. But here's what I need you to understand. Listen, I know you'd love for there to be some perfect timing, but can I just tell you that there's no such thing as perfect timing? As a matter of fact, here's one of the questions that I get asked all the time. As some of you know, I literally left corporate America, and I walked away from a career as a CPA, as an accountant, over a decade ago. And a lot of times when I'm coaching people and we're having discussion, or if I'm sitting on a panel and people are having discussions with me, or after I'm done speaking, people are asking, and one of the questions that I get all the time, and when I have people who are considering making a move, in other words, they're still working in their careers, or they're considering making a move, they're considering doing something significant. They want to start their business, they want to make a career change, or they're willing to just, they're contemplating making a significant move in their life. And one of the questions that I always get is, Andy, how did you know you were ready? I mean, that was a major leap. I mean, you went to school, you got your degree in accounting, you got your CPA license, you're working for this huge, amazing CPA firm. And so how did you know that you were ready to leave that and actually pursue your goals and your dreams? And they're always, and I look at their face and they're waiting for me to give them this exact formula. They're waiting for me to say something like, I needed to make sure that I had at least $80,000 in my bank account. I needed to make sure that I had a certain amount of opportunities lined up. I need to make sure that my business that I was going to pursue and that I was very clear. I need to make sure that that business was already generating me $5,000 a month. I mean, they're waiting for this elaborate, sophisticated response. And here's what the reality of it is. When I made the decision to leave corporate America, even though when I sat in that room with the lady who was head of HR, a very nice lady by the name of Tammy Klein, when we sat in the room, she says, Andy, what are you going to do? Let me tell you, I sat there and I said something that sounded extremely great. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I know it sounded really good. But can I just tell you something? I didn't know exactly what it is that I was going to do. I had no idea. I did not have a game plan completely mapped out. I did not have a set amount of money that I was already making on the thing that I wanted to pursue. I didn't have somebody that said, hey, Andy, go ahead and leave your job, and I'm going to show you exactly how everything works. I'm going to show you how to eventually become a speaker. I'm going to show you how to build a business. I'm going to show you how to make those things happen. Listen, it didn't happen. As a matter of fact, I wish I had a response that created an exact formula that they can follow. But the reality of it is I had to make my move before I was ready. The reality of it is I was literally willing to start before I was ready. Start what? I was willing to start on taking a chance on myself. I was willing to walk into that office and say, hey, listen, I don't believe I can do this anymore. I'm going to take a chance on myself. I'm going to pursue my goals and my dreams. I'm going to find out what my passion is. I'm going to figure things out. And literally by doing that, that's when I began to discover some things about myself. And that's when I began to discover what it was that my true passion and what my true calling was. And so I love to say that I had a perfect game plan mapped out, but that's not the case. Can I just tell you that I did something that was absolutely insane? I walked away from my career and my job, and I wasn't quite sure exactly how things were going to work out. I stepped out on faith. Martin Luther King said that faith is taking the first step, even when you can't see the entire staircase. I was willing to step out on faith, and that's what I'm saying to you, that you have to start before you're ready. And I know you're not used to hearing that, right? Because we hear all the time, they say, ready, aim, fire. And so you're expected oftentimes to get ready. But listen, no. You have to start before you get ready. You have to literally start right now, because oftentimes you're never going to feel as if you're ready. You're never going to feel as if you're ready to start your business. You're never going to feel as if you're ready to make the career change. You're never going to feel as if you're ready to go back and get that other degree. You're never going to feel as if you're ready to make that significant move and whatever it is that you want to pursue in life. And so what I'm saying to you is that you've got to start right now before you're ready. And when you're willing to do that, things will begin to work out for you. When you're willing to do that, the right people will begin to show up in your life. When you're willing to do that, all of a sudden, once you take that first step, the next step will begin to appear. But here's what I know. The second, the third, and the fifth, and the sixth step do not appear until you are willing to make the commitment and at least take the first step. You see, it's going to require that you move forward. And so I just think about this past weekend, I swung by an event and I had an opportunity to address a room that was full of entrepreneurs that are really investing in themselves and really taking themselves to the next level. And I got up and I shared a couple of my stories, and I shared some tips and strategies about how they can utilize their power of story to connect with their customers and their clients. And I also shared the story that many of you have heard before, the story about my mom, the story which has really led the Show Up for Your Life motivational movement. And this young lady, after I spoke, pulled me aside and she said, Andy, oh my gosh, I really resonate with the story that you shared about your mom. And she says that, listen, me and my husband, we have a business and we run the business out of this facility. And she says, I've been working with a business coach and we've been thinking about expanding. We've been thinking about changing locations. And one of the things that my coach did was my coach challenged me, and my coach said this. She said, what do you think it would take for you to go ahead and be willing to change locations and get a bigger facility so you can position your business to grow? What do you think it will take for you to be able to do this within the next 3 months? And she said, when my coach said that, she said, I literally looked at her and said, listen, there's no way I'm ready right now. And she said she just started listing off a laundry list of all the reasons why they weren't ready, all the reasons why it would be like too difficult to find another facility. She listed all the reasons why it would just cost so much money to literally be able to find another facility, and all the reasons why it wasn't possible or feasible for her to actually be able to find another location and be able to grow her business the way that she wanted to. And then lo and behold, here's what happened. Well, the landlord that actually owned her facility, very similar to the story with my mom, the landlord wasn't paying the mortgage, and unfortunately, the landlord was being foreclosed on. So now here she is. She was in a position where now she was being asked, is this something she can do in 3 months? But now she's being put in a position where now this is something that she has to do. And she said, Andy, you won't believe this. She said that, you know what, after we came to a realization that we actually had to leave the location because our landlord was being foreclosed on, she said, you won't believe it, in a matter of days, we found another facility. Not only did we find another facility, she said, but it was literally for a fraction of the price that I thought it was going to cost us. Not only that, but this facility is perfectly laid out so that we can expand and we can take things to the next level. And as I was listening to her share that story, I was just thinking about how many of us are in a situation where we want to go to the next level, where we want to make some things happen. And when we think about this thing that we're looking to make happen, we convince ourselves all the reasons why we're not ready. We said, I don't have the right money in my bank account. I don't have the right connections. I don't have the right resources. I don't have enough experience. There's not enough people who know me. I don't have a big enough platform. You know, there's all these different excuses. I'm too old. I'm too young. Whatever your excuse is, there's all these different excuses that we come up with as to why we are not ready. And so the amazing thing is, and the beautiful thing is, when I was listening to her story, is something happens. You know, I believe that really she's one of the chosen ones. And when I say one of the chosen ones, what do you mean by that? Because here's what I believe, that for some of us who are worthy, some of us who there's a greater calling on our life, when you're not willing to make your move, when you're not willing to move forward and pursue your goals and your dreams and make those things happen, that I believe that sometimes life will move on you. And in her particular case, that's what happened. You know what? It was time for her to grow. It was time for her to get to the next level. And she was afraid of making that thing happen. But life moved on her. How? Because the landlord was getting foreclosed on. And now she went from a position that this was a desire, something that she wanted to do. And now she was put in a position where this was something that she had to do. But here's what I could tell you this. Not all of us will be that lucky. Life won't always move on you and force you to move. Sometimes you're going to have to move yourself. Sometimes you're going to have to get past these excuses and all these things that are going on in your mind, that you're convincing yourself as to why you can't write the book, as to why you can't start the business, as to why you can't go back and get another degree, as to why you can't use your gifts, your skills, and your talents, as to why you can't become a speaker, as to why you can't become a coach, as to why you can't make multiple six figures, as to why whatever it is that you've been looking to create, whatever it is you've been looking to get to the next level, there's always going to be these elaborate excuses and reasons why you can't make it happen. And the way that you override it is in the midst of all this uncertainty, in the midst of doubting yourself, you move. You make your move in that moment. You literally, you get started and you start making those things happen. Even if you don't know how to do it, listen, trust me on this, you will figure it out. Things will begin to happen and you will figure it out. You have to literally start before you're ready. Write that down. Start before you're ready. And so here's what I know, that there's a goal, there's a dream, there's something that you're sitting on, there's something that you're sitting on right now that is waiting for you to get started. And so there's an old Chinese proverb, and here's what the Chinese proverb said. The Chinese proverb said that the best time for you to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. The best time for you to maybe have started your goals and your dreams, the best time for you to have started the business, for you to have made the career change, for you to have written a book, for you to pursue your goals and your dreams may have been a couple years ago. And if you did not do it 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago, the proverb said that the second best time is right now. And so, yes, You didn't do what you were supposed to do a couple years ago, or you didn't do what you were supposed to do a year ago, or you didn't act on your goals and your dreams. You didn't write the book. You didn't start the business. You didn't decide that you're going to pursue your goals and your dreams and make some things happen. But listen, the second best time for you to do that is right now. Opportunity always takes now as an answer. That you have to literally be willing to start before you're ready. You have to be willing to leap right now and literally grow your wings on the way down. And listen, it's going to be scary. I'm not saying it's not going to be scary. Listen, I was very afraid when I left my corporate career with PricewaterhouseCoopers. Listen, I was used to that check hitting my bank account, right? That ACH debit, as they call it, going into my bank account every 2 weeks. I was used to knowing for sure where my paycheck was coming from. I had spent all this time in getting my college degree and getting my undergraduate degree in accounting, my master's degree in corporate accounting, all this time in studying and preparing for the CPA exam and eventually passing the CPA exam and landing a job with this. All this time was invested. And now I'm considering doing something crazy like stepping out there and figuring out what my gifts, what my skills and my passions are. And let me tell you, that was really, really scary. And I wish I could tell you that I had it all figured out. I wish I could tell you that, hey, this is exactly how you do it. You're going to make sure that your debt to income ratio is this. You're going to make sure you have this amount of money in your bank account. This is exactly what you do on day 1. This is what you do on day 5. This is where you should be at 60 days out. Listen, it doesn't work like that. You have to literally start before you're ready. But something amazing happens once you're willing to start. You see, once you're willing to start, let me tell you something. That's when you really begin to grow. That's when you really begin to discover some things about yourself that maybe perhaps you don't know. Listen, the next level of you at the next level, listen, that you won't ever meet that person. You won't meet that greater version of you until you're willing to step outside of your comfort zone, until you're willing to do something that you don't quite believe that you're ready to do. And so oftentimes, listen, you will prove yourself wrong. Write that down. You will prove yourself wrong. You will prove yourself wrong. You will move forward and you'll discover some things. You'll say, wait a second, you know what? At first, I feel like I was on a treadmill. At first, I feel like I was trying to figure this thing out. But wait a second, I'm starting to get a hang of this. Wait a second, I'm starting to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Wait a second, I'm starting to make the right contacts. Wait a second, I'm starting to understand this business thing. Wait a second here, I'm starting to get my first client. I'm starting to trust myself a little more. I'm beginning to grow. I'm getting to the next level. Yeah, I remember one time Donald Trump said that the greater version of you is in direct opposition of your comfort zone. And so here's your comfort zone, and here's the greater version of you. And so as long as you're willing to stay in your comfort zone, as long as you're willing for everything to be perfect and you want everything to be just exactly how you want to be before you get started, you will never, ever get started. And so you have to literally start before you're ready. And so I want you to stop sitting on the sidelines. I want you to start having this conversation with yourself and convincing yourself as to all the reasons why you can't get started. And I want to challenge you to get uncomfortable. I want to challenge you to get started. When? I want you to challenge you to get started right now. And so I want to give you a little history, a little backdrop. As you know, this Show Up for Your Life motivational movement now has been taking place now for several years. And so I can tell you right now that as far as this particular segment of the Show Up for Your Life motivational movement, this live conference call that I do, as well as this live stream that is now in addition to the live conference call that I do, I can tell you right now that for months, I avoided getting started. And so just give you a little history, a little backdrop. You know, the way that this sort of got started, as some of you know, the Les Brown, one of the greatest speakers of our time, one of the best motivators of our time, he does a Monday night motivational call. And there's when I was training under Les Brown, and I still look up to him as a mentor, and he's done so much to really help me to take my career and help me expand and develop my skill set. There's one particular time that he was not available to do his Monday night call. And so he gave me a phone call and he said, hey, Andy, listen, I'm going to be traveling. I cannot do the Monday night call. And so I want you to go ahead and do this Monday night call. And then, of course, I remember, you know, with his personality, he started joking around. He's like, listen, if you're scared, go ahead and say if you're scared. But if you're not scared, then go ahead and do the call tonight. So, of course, I need you to put this in perspective. This is Les Brown, one of the top 5 speakers in the world. Les Brown, that has traveled all across the world speaking and has received one of the several of the top awards in the speaking industry, who normally has several hundred people who are listening in on every single Monday and are used and conditioned to hearing his voice and his level of delivering a message. And he's asking me to step into his place and deliver this message. So needless to say, I was scared, but let me tell you something. I did step up to the bat and I went ahead and delivered the message. And that would be one of several messages that I would deliver on Les Brown's Monday Night Motivational Call. Well, here's what happened after that. Then I started having people who are reaching out to me and sending me emails and messages. Hey, listen, Andy, I listened to you on the Monday Night Motivational Call with Les Brown. Listen, man, you did a phenomenal call. I just am curious. Do you have a call that you do yourself? And then I remember one particular young lady who would literally send me a message every 2 weeks and say, hey, Andy, I'm just curious. Are you ever going to start your own motivational call? Are you ever going to start your own motivational call on a weekly basis? And every single time they would ask me that, I would come up with an elaborate excuse. Let me just tell you, what was that driven by? It was fear. I was scared. Listen, I was coming up with excuses. Oh, well, I'm really busy. I don't know if I could commit to doing a call every week. Listen, Les Brown, one of the top 5 speakers in the world, can make time to do a motivational call each and every week. And Andy, you're thinking that you might be too busy? No. How about that's just an excuse, right? And then it was a matter of like, well, what night am I going to do it? I don't want to overlap. Les Brown does his call on Monday nights. I know somebody that has something going on. I normally, do stuff. I got Bible study on Wednesday night. Well, what night am I going to be able to do this? When am I going to? So once again, I was coming up with all these different excuses. And then finally, I just thought about this. I said, Andy, listen, you got to start before you're ready. And so what I did was, now this was a couple years back. And so this was before that most of us would go ahead and just, record a video real quick on our phone. At that time, we used to use little flip cameras. And so most of you may remember the little flip cameras. They had a little USB thing right after you filmed the little video. You can connect it to your computer. And so here's what I did. I went ahead, I walked over to my cousin. I said, listen, man, hold up this flip camera right now. I'm about to do something. He says, what are you going to do? I said, man, just go ahead and press the record button. Give me the signal when you press the record button. He pressed the record button. He says, you're recording. I said, hey, what's going on? This is Andy Henriquez. I just have a very special announcement. I just want to let you to know that I'm going to be starting my own motivational conference call. It's going to take place every Thursday at 8 o'clock p.m. Stay tuned. I'm going to be releasing the conference call line, and you can count on it. And I said, this is the date that it's going to get started. And so I remember the moment after I did that, I was nervous. I was like, man, should I post it? Should I post it? And my cousin was like, do it, do it, do it. And I went ahead and I uploaded, I think, on YouTube, and then I started posting it and putting it out on social media. And let me just tell you that I literally started before I was ready. And what do you mean by that? Listen, I didn't have a conference call line yet. I wasn't quite sure what my first call was going to be about. I didn't even know how I was going to come up with a different motivational message each and every single week. I had no idea how I was going to pull that off. It was nerve-wracking. I didn't know how I was going to make sure that I was going to deliver at a certain consistency level. I didn't know if I was going to be able to pull it off when I was traveling and in different places, how I was going to do the call. But I literally was willing to start before I was ready. But let me tell you what happened after that. All of a sudden after that, let me tell you something. I got a conference call line. I figured that part out. After that, listen, we created a website so people could go on the website and be able to get a telephone number and put in their names and email addresses so that they could actually stay connected with me. Listen, after that, I was able to find a host. There was a young lady by the name of Star Babatoon, a very good friend of mine, that I called up. I said, Star, I need a host to start the Show Up for Your Life motivational movement. Star said, listen, Andy, I'll help you maybe for a couple of weeks, and then after that, you're on your own. Well, Star ended up helping me and being the host for the Show Up for Your Life motivational conference call for a couple of years before she went ahead and passed the torch over to Lewis Morier, who is the host now of the Show Up for Your Life motivational movement. But the reason why I share that with you is to get you to understand this, that the reason why that we have the Show Up for Your Life motivational movement, the reason why that you listen in every Thursday to the Show Up for Your Life motivational movement conference call, as well as the live stream, is because I was willing to start before I was ready. I can tell you right now, if I was still waiting to be quote unquote ready, if I was waiting for the perfect timing, if I was waiting to feel as if I can make this thing happen, listen, I would still be waiting. There would still be no Thursday night Show Up for Your Life motivational movement. There would still be no Thursday night Show Up for Your Life motivational live stream. It wouldn't even exist. Why? Because I was willing to start before I was ready. And so here's what I say to you, that there's something that you know that you need to start, that you've been wanting to start, you've been meaning to start this, you've been putting it off, and you've convinced yourself that you don't have the resources. You've convinced yourself that you're too old, that you're too young. You've convinced convinced yourself that you don't have enough experience. You've convinced yourself that you don't have the right platform. You've convinced yourself. And what I'm saying to you is scratch all of that, and I want you to start before you're ready. And once you begin to start, things will begin to happen. Once you begin to start, all of a sudden, trust me on this, you'll begin to figure things out. And so listen, stop waiting for perfect timing. Stop waiting for perfection. Many of us, we get caught up in wanting everything to be perfect. We want to have the perfect amount of money in our bank account. We were waiting for the perfect opportunity. We're waiting for the perfect amount of assistance. We're waiting to have a perfect feeling in our gut. Well, listen, that's not how it works. Listen, there's no such thing as perfect timing. The best time to make it happen is right now. As a matter of fact, perfection is oftentimes rooted in fear. And that's the reason why most of us don't move forward. That's the reason why most of us don't follow our goals and our dreams. And so I want you to think about what Sheryl Sandberg said. And here's what she said. She said, done is better than perfect. And so this is the time right now to start getting it done. Get the book done. Get the business done. Get the degree done. Whatever it is that you're looking to make happen, let's get it done. And let's stop trying to make things perfect. Let's stop trying to make sure that everything is perfectly aligned. And so here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to think about that area in your life that you've been thinking about making your move, that area in your life that you've been thinking about getting ready, whatever area that is in your life. Think about what that spot is. And I want you to think about all the little excuses that you've been coming up with as to why you shouldn't get started, all the little excuses why this is not the perfect time. And I want you to scratch all of that. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to get uncomfortable, and I want you to understand this, that you have to literally start before you're ready. And if you're willing to start before you're ready, if you're willing to do what Price Pritchett said and make your move before you're ready, if you're willing to sort of lean in, as Sheryl Sandberg said, if you're willing to make those things happen, trust me, things will begin to work. They'll begin to develop. You'll discover some things. What begins to start off feeling very, 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 very scary, all of a sudden now you'll begin to gain some confidence. All of a sudden you'll realize that, wait a second, you know what? I don't know why I made this thing so difficult. Why did I make this thing so difficult? You know, I think about the Show Up For Your Life motivational movement, these live, conference calls and so forth. For a while I tried to avoid this thing, but now do you realize that we are beyond the 4-year mark with the Show Up For Your Life motivational conference call, and now we've launched the live stream version of this? That listen, that what's happening right now, it wouldn't even be happening if I wasn't willing to start before I was ready. And so what I'm saying to you is, this is the time right now to start. Listen, that Chinese proverb said that the best time for you to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. The best time for you to maybe have started the book, to go ahead and start the business, to take your life to the next level may have been a couple of years ago. But if you didn't do it then, the second best time is right now. And so right now, here's what I'm asking you to do. I want you to start before you're ready. And this wouldn't be Andy Henriquez if I didn't end by telling you this. Show up for your lives, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't, listen, nobody else will. Listen, I am so happy that all of you have chosen to be part of the Show Up For Your Life movement. And if we have not already done so, I want us to stay connected. And so here's how you're going to do this. You're going to go to the website, showupforyourlife.com. It's just a free website that is really there so that you and I will be able to connect. So here's what I want you to do. Go to showupforyourlife.com. When you get there, you're going to see a banner. Go ahead and put in your name and your email address. And what is that going to do? Well, here's what that's going to do. That's going to allow me to stay connected with you. I'm going to send you an instant motivational message, but I'm going to continue to share resources with you, share videos with you, share content and information I believe is going to help you to show up in your personal life and also to help you to show up in your business. So make sure you do that. Go to showupforyourlife.com. Also, I want to invite you to join our little private Facebook community. And so here's how you're going to do that. We have a private group for all the people who are part of Show Up For Your Life motivational movement. And so I want to give you a shortcut to get there. I want you to open up a separate web browser and type in showupgroup.com. Once again, you're going to type in showupgroup.com. Once you type in showupgroup.com, it's going to direct you to our private group. And once you get there, it is a private group. So you are going to have to go ahead and ask permission to join the group, but we would gladly go go ahead and let you join the group. So make sure you do that. Go to showupgroup.com. Go ahead and type in your information. Go ahead and put a request so that you can go ahead and join us on Facebook, and we'll be happy to have you join our live Facebook community. Now, some of you are watching via live stream, and you're going to want to give some feedback, or you're listening in via the conference call line, and sometimes you're a little shy about speaking up. Well, you can go to the Show Up group and go ahead and type in your comments, your questions, and your feedback from the message that you just heard me share. Now, also, the last thing I want to say is many of you know that I have a 6-month coaching program that I do along with my wife. We just relaunched this 6-month coaching program, and we do have about 2 spots left for those of you who are saying, wait a second, Andy, you know, I've been wanting to get involved with a 6-month coaching program. Go ahead and hurry up and get your application in. And how do you do that? You're going to go to yourpowercouple.com. Once again, that is yourpowercouple.com. When you get there, you're going to see a very simple application. Fill out the application, and we'll make sure we get in contact with you. And somebody from our team will get in contact with you, and we'll schedule to go ahead and give you the information and the details to see if this is a coaching program for you. We specifically are looking to work for individuals that are looking to get started in their business, or you're already in business and you're looking to maybe take your business to the next level. And so we are looking forward to hearing from all of you. And so, of course, like we always do, I'm going to be checking in to sort of check in the Show Up group on Facebook. And, of course, I'm going to go ahead and have Lewis go ahead and open up the conference call lines so we can go ahead